Welcome into this week's episode of Forte Catholic. I'm so glad that you are here. We had a great episode this week. Allison Sullivan was in the studio right here, so I hope that you guys enjoy it. If you do, please hit the like and subscribe button. We've got so much more great stuff coming your way, and you don't want to miss it. And I don't want you to miss it because it's good for everyone if we all enjoy Forte Catholic. All right, you guys enjoy today's show. Good time of day that you are listening to this. Hello, Allison Sullivan. How are you?
Hi, Taylor Schroll.
So we have to talk about the great service that you gave to our listeners this morning.
Okay.
So we were prepared to record at 10:30.
Oh.
I set an alarm to wake up.
I was afraid of that.
I set an alarm, and right when I woke up to my alarm, the first thing I see is, hey, can we not do it at 10:30? I was ready to go. You were like, I'm tired. And I was like, you know what? That's fine. This new life that I have, I work at home.
Right.
I literally only have one thing on my calendar today.
Yeah, I really thought I was doing you a favor.
And here's the thing.
Yeah.
It's fine. Everything would have been fine.
Yeah.
It would have been fine.
I feel an accept coming.
Except. I was in a good mood, and I was ready to record, and I was happy that you were coming over.
Uh-huh.
And then, even when you said, like, I can take one thing. Like, you were like, hey, can we push back to 12:30? Absolutely.
Yeah.
No problem.
Yeah.
And then at 12:20, you're like...
So flexible you are, Taylor.
Yeah, at 12:20, here's the accept. You were like, I'm in a rush. And I'm like, why didn't we record at 10:30 then?
Okay, but you are forgetting how punctual I am. And that what I really meant was... Okay, fine. But what I really meant is that we cannot hang out and drink mimosas all day. I just meant we need to be somewhat efficient, and I allotted plenty of time for us to be our charming, witty selves. Plenty of time.
There was no chance that we were going to have mimosas, even if it was at 10:30. The great service that you gave the listeners is that when I'm in a good mood,
yeah, people
don't enjoy me as much.
Really?
It's when I'm frustrated and agitated.
They want you mad.
Like me, so.
Well, and this is why I'm here. You're welcome, people. Okay, hold on. This might cheer you up. I'm going to grab this real quick because happy birthday to Taylor.
Hello.
I got you a birthday present. It's not here yet, so I'm just going to show you a picture of it, okay?
Oh, okay.
It's that.
I was not made to be subtle. It is...
Yes.
You got me a picture of a...
I got you a picture.
You got me a picture of a mug.
Wouldn't that be funny if I had the real thing like right here and it was full of a mimosa? Wouldn't that just be perfect?
It would be perfect, but I've never had a mimosa. I think I would drink it just to try it on air. That would be fun, but I've never had a mimosa. Isn't that only for the girls?
Mimosas?
Yeah.
No, just raise a pinky. You're good.
Okay.
You know.
Hang loose, bro. You said raise a pinky, and it was the least elegant thing I've ever seen you do. Stop, bro. Drinking a mimosa.
Not a pinky raiser myself. I chug my mimosas.
I don't doubt that. So, yeah, my birthday was yesterday. I turned 31, and it was fine.
Yeah, it was fine.
All I hope is that my 31st year is better than my 30th.
Well, yeah.
Because boy, did everything fall apart.
It's been quite a ride. Yeah, I know. I expect like less and less as the years go by. I don't know what this means, but like now I just kind of want to look well rested. And, I'm not expecting any gifts. I'm not expecting any, parties or balloons or celebrations. I just, I don't know, would like to end the day without a catastrophe. Did you end your day without a catastrophe, Taylor?
No.
Oh!
So
what happened?
Let's see. How can I get into this without getting in trouble? I bet on sports.
Okay.
And for my birthday,
okay.
I usually bet like $5 to $10 at a time. And you can win, so you're losing $5 or $10 or you're winning 20. Like, it's not a big deal.
Okay.
I was like, for my birthday, I'm going to do this thing called a parlay bet.
Okay.
Any idea what this is?
That's a question?
Yeah.
No.
Okay. So essentially it's like
I don't gamble because I'm like, it could add to a pair of shoes. So
well, I can't afford the pair of shoes, so I need to win the gambling money to get the shoes.
All right.
So, so if you put more than one game together in the same bet, you can bet the same amount, the odds are less that you will win it. which
I
means
see.
that you will win more money.
Sure, of course.
Right?
Yes.
So like if
higher risk, higher reward.
Right. So there's one game. If I just bet on one game,
Yeah.
and I bet $5, I'd win about $5 on top of it.
Okay.
If I bet 2 games at one, I would win about $10 on top of it. Right.
Yes.
3 games, it starts to get exponential.
I'm following you.
So I bet on 3 games.
Okay.
$25. Bigger bet, like 5 times my normal bet, but it's my birthday and somebody gave me $25. So I'm like, I'll risk your gift.
That's right.
That was my sister, by the way. So I won, like, first game was at noon, won that game like crazy. Second game at 3:00, won that game like crazy. It all came down to the Sunday night game. And I was having a decent day. I just hung out. We just had a relaxing day.
Yeah.
I played video games, watched sports.
Does this make you a really loud football watcher?
Oh, yeah.
You're threatening violence?
Yeah. Let's just say we're glad my kids were asleep whenever this game was happening.
Okay, go ahead.
So
third game.
Third game with I need the Seahawks to win by 3.
Okay.
They're up by 10 with 2.5 minutes left.
Okay.
They lost.
Wow.
So that's how my birthday ended. There were some other things that I won't get into that made me not have a great end of the day. But overall, the day was good. We had dinner. It was just very relaxing. But speaking of football,
yes,
there are 2. I've been coaching our local football team over at our Catholic school.
Love it.
My kids go to school, and your kids sometimes go to school. So, I mean, it's not inaccurate.
We love it there. We love it.
So we've been winning quite a bit in the fact that we haven't lost yet.
Yes.
So we had a game 2 weeks ago. And before I get into what happened at the game, we're going to talk about one thing that happened after.
Okay.
I'm standing on the field after this game.
Yeah.
And I'm walking with the other assistant coach.
Okay.
And this person starts like running at us, kind of like the main guy from Pirates of the Caribbean when he's running on the beach.
Oh gosh!
Just picture arms flailing,
and
legs flailing, which I didn't know was
a football player. That sounds terrifying.
Oh no, it was just a person running at who I didn't recognize this person, and I thought I didn't recognize them. So I'm like, this must be like, the assistant coach's girlfriend or something. Yeah. And then as this person approached closer,
yeah.
They hugged me.
What?
And wanted to take a selfie, and I was like,
"Oh my gosh,
it's Allison Sullivan."
Well, it took everything I had to not either like tackle you or like just hop on your back and like take the selfie that way. I really wanted to capture the reaction.
It was wild because you've had a few birthdays. Like, you were more spry than I thought you would be after the amount of birthdays that you've had recently. So it was impressive to the point where I had 2 thoughts. One, there's no way I know this person because they look clinically insane. And then as this person got closer, I was like, maybe it's a high school kid that I haven't seen in a while. So that's my compliment for the day. You
good.
You looked and acted like a high school kid.
Perfect.
For a while.
No, I am fast and I'm faster than you might think and stronger than you might think. If you put a ball in my hands, it's all over. I have no coordination, but I'm like fast and strong. So that's the kind of athlete I am. Okay, so question. Can you tell what kind of sports watcher I am by that brief interaction? How would you imagine me to watch a football game?
How I would imagine, and people who have listened to the show for about a year or longer will know that I imagine you watch sports like I do, as in I got kicked out of a basketball game last year.
Yes! Okay, I'm glad that I am portraying myself accurately because that is 100% correct. It's just a matter of time. It has not happened yet. But
that's impressive that it hasn't happened yet.
Yeah.
So at this game, let's talk about the game now.
The game, yes. Football is life, by the way. Yeah, I love it.
And this isn't a football story. And so don't tune out if you don't like football. But let's be real. If you don't like me, you tuned out a long time ago. So whatever. Anybody that's made it this far,
you're not getting them back.
Stuff, you're stuck with the football story. So I promise there's a point to it. So 2 weeks ago, we have this game, and I have the score pulled up. We won 55-6. Mm-hmm. This is the game you were at.
For sure.
So
yes.
From your vantage point in the stands, how do you think the game went?
I thought it was a good win. I thought it was I wasn't there for the whole thing, just, to be clear. But it's always, I've seen us lose a lot. So it's really fun to see some plays being made, some passes completed. It was good. It was great. It seemed great from my perspective. Tell me more, Taylor.
So I'm glad I wanted your perspective, but now I want you just to list off more football terms because I think you've gotten to your limit.
No, I'm a really good. No, Seth says, Taylor, that I am as much fun to watch football with as his buddies because I know a lot.
Boy, his buddies must be boring.
No, okay. That's it. We are watching a football game together, and you're going to see that I know all the things.
We watched a football game together 2 weeks ago. We were just 100 feet apart from each other.
Correct, and I had to come tackle you after.
Right. So
that obviously wasn't letting you know how intense I am. I
became a pirate of the Caribbean.
I've got that pictured, by the way. Okay, go ahead.
Okay, so
I didn't see the game, Taylor. That's what I'm trying to tell you. I'm sorry.
I always think I know where I'm going, and then I always have follow-up questions because what it seems like what you're talking about is more interesting. Like, how were you there at the end of the game, but not like you showed up at the fourth quarter?
I was there late. I was trying. My own kid played a football game, and he went to this football game after to see his old friends. I had a migraine. I was just going to sit in the car for a second, but I love football, and I wanted to see how St. Joe's was doing. It was such a nice surprise to see you on the sidelines. I kind of momentarily forgot that I was going to see you, and then there you are being all official, and it made me really happy. And so I ran up onto the field after, and then that's all that happened. That's all I know. I had a migraine. Okay.
So you did the most athletic thing I've ever seen you do with a migraine.
Thank you.
There are so many.
See,
this
fast and strong.
All about you now, and that was not the plan. But it's fine. It's fine.
I am dying to know how you are going to bring spiritual meaning out of this butt whooping that happened on the field.
Right. So we won 55-6, and let's fast forward just for the point of the story. Let's fast forward to this week. Like 3 days ago.
Okay.
We won 65-8.
Wow.
It was 52-0 at the end of the first quarter.
Wow. So no mercy rules. Okay.
So those two games, from like the outside perspective, and like you saw the first
Sure.
one,
Yeah.
or no, you didn't see it, but you saw the scoreboard at the end, and then you tackled me.
Yes.
So
as one does.
Both of those two games looked very similar on the scoreboard. Like
on the
even
scoreboard.
sharing the score here, like those two games sound pretty similar. Like they're both blowouts. We won by about 50-55 points both games.
Right.
And I can't tell you how different my experience as a coach was in those two games.
Yeah.
And the experience of the players in those two games.
Interesting. Mm-hmm.
So both games
same on paper.
Right. Same on paper. We win and we went in like on paper before the game, we were like, these are games that we should win by halftime. Like,
yes.
There's a mercy rule at halftime. If you're up by 45, game's over.
Okay.
So like we knew going in that like we should not play much more than a half.
Yeah.
With these other teams.
Yeah.
So we went into the first game and we are playing so sloppy. Like our kids, like as their coach, like both as a track coach and their football coach, like I'm watching them and I'm like, you're running at 75%.
Yeah, you know these kids well. Yeah.
While the play is going on. And like not trying just mistakes that like our superstars were making mistakes that they never make. Just like you could tell that their head wasn't in it, their heart wasn't in it, because they knew that they could go 75% and win by 50. How do we know that? Because they went 75% and we won by 50.
Okay.
But this team that we should have beaten at halftime, we had to play almost a whole nother quarter to get to the 45 mark when it should have happened in the first, like it did the second game. Right. So on paper, it looked really similar. And like as the coaches, like I left the field. It's a strange thing. And maybe it says more about me than the game. But it wasn't just me. Me and the other two coaches like left really frustrated. Yeah. And like I was fuming. Because it was a lot of the people not trying were like the people that I directly coach, like the positions that I coach. And
you know you're not getting the best.
No, I'm not getting the best. And even when like they got a good play, they didn't do it right.
Right.
Like, and it was one of those things that like you can do that in a game where we're supposed to win by 45 at halftime. We can win by 45 in the third quarter. But we're going to play games later in the season, like in the playoffs. Yeah. Where, and like our first game. The first game that we played was a one-score game that came down to the last play, and we had to literally leave everything on the field to get the win. Yeah. And we're going to have games like that later in the season. Like if we want to win state, which is the goal this year, we're going to have to beat 3 really good teams. Yeah. And so we were really frustrated, even though, parents were excited, the kids were excited that they won. It's like the coaches, and we were like, that's not good enough.
Yeah.
It's just not good enough.
Yeah.
So then we fast forward a week, and we're talking about this with them through practice the whole week. And we're like, guys, like we can't let our foot off the gas. Like we have to play our game. We can't, play down to an opponent, or we can't either way. We can't.
Yeah.
We have to try. Like we have to do things right, like we've been doing all season. And then so this game, it was insane. 52 points in a quarter. It was unbelievable. I've never seen that in a football game ever.
Whoa.
We scored 52 points. I took a picture of the scoreboard with 48 seconds left in the first quarter. We were up by 52, and everybody was running on all cylinders. 100%, full speed.
Yeah.
We're just absolutely getting it. And the wild thing is, coaches were super happy. The kids were super happy because they knew.
It feels good. Yeah.
It's like we didn't just beat them. We made them quit.
Yeah.
Like they didn't want to play anymore. But even more than like the other team, it was like the feeling that we had of like, we did this right.
Mm-hmm.
We really did this right.
Mm-hmm.
And we feel a lot better about the playoffs now after this game. Even though they look so similar to people watching or to, or on the scoreboard. And so I was thinking about it. I was like, why? Like a lot of it, in the experience of just football made a lot of sense. Like, why am I so frustrated about this?
Yeah.
Like I was frustrated that whole night. Like I didn't go to bed till 2 a.m. just fuming. Like I was just so frustrated.
I love it.
And didn't have a real out. Like me and the other coaches talked for an hour and kind of got most of it out. But it's just like, there's nothing you can do about it at the time. It already happened.
Yeah.
So and then like how good I felt this last week, and I was like, there's got to be something more to this than just football, right? And I was thinking, okay, I think anytime you get frustrated, usually it's because you see something of yourself in the thing that you're frustrated in.
Yeah.
And I was like, man, have I been living my personal life in that first game for months? Mm-hmm. Where it's like, man,
wow,
a lot of good things have been happening. And from the outside, and even on paper, Forte Catholic's doing well. It's growing. The show's going well. The organization's growing well. I'm happy. My life is good. But everything, the ministry, the show, speaking, parenting, husbanding, I don't know if that's a word, spiritual life, all of it's just been fine.
Fine.
And I've been given a good 70 to 80%.
Sure.
And still, things are good.
Yeah.
I'm still, in my life, still feel like I'm winning, 55 to 8 or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But I am not winning. I'm not scoring 52 points in the first quarter.
Good.
And I know that I can.
Right.
And that's why I was frustrated with the kids.
Absolutely.
Because I knew that we could do better.
Right.
And now I'm looking at myself I know I can do better. And I'm able to be relatively successful without giving 100%.
This is the best thing about mentoring ever, is that it requires you to stay sharp. So I am at my best if I am being mentored by someone, because there's humility in listening to someone else's wisdom and allowing yourself to be shaped by that. And then at the same time, when you're mentoring someone else, there is this requirement to stay sharp. So there's a lot of college girls on my couch, and they can tell me a story and they can say something as simple as, oh, but it's fine, I don't care. And I'm like, that's a lie. And so then that insistence on them telling the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth requires me to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth in my own life. And so that you have those moments of, wait, I'm calling someone to this. I'm calling someone up to this. Am I doing this in my own life? And I love the feeling of, does mediocrity get the job done? Maybe. Is that God's best? No. And so he's too kind to let us get away with mediocrity, because he wants us to experience the high of, oh, yes, this is what he had in mind. When whatever he has us doing, we're doing it with our whole heart. That is such a great lesson. I love it.
Well, I thought so too. That's why I shared it.
It's good.
But we also got
really good
to learn a lot about your football knowledge, and
yeah,
that you're a crazy, insane person sometimes.
Yeah. I will yell at a TV with you, Taylor, using correct terminology. Jeez.
That is why
You've offended me before, but that one is a little...
Really, that's the worst thing I've said to you?
Well, to date. It'll get worse, I'm sure. Oh. What'd you say? Why'd you marry your wife?
Because she loves sports.
Oh, nice.
Have I told you this story before?
No.
So we were dating and we were long distance. So it was still pretty early we'd only dated in person for 2 months, and then she moved off to college,
Mhm.
and like we were long distance. So she came back from a trip. I forget what it must have been, summer break, maybe fall break, something like that. And we go to Chili's because that's where you go when you have $20, you need to feed 2 people. 2 for
Sure.
20 at Chili's.
Yeah, perfect.
So we went there, and this is the first, like, I literally went and just picked her up from the airport, and we're going to eat, and then I'm going to take her home or whatever, right? We get to this Chili's, and I'm like, table for 2. And she's like, do you want to watch in the bar? Like, are you here to watch the game? Or do y'all just want to, like, sit over in, like, the normal place where you can, like, talk and have a conversation? And I was like, in my mind, I'm like, I want to watch the game. There's some kind of playoff game on.
Mhm.
Like, I want to watch the game, but I know that the right answer is to go over there. And
Right.
she's like, I want to watch the game.
Yes!
I'm like, yes, I'm going to marry you.
Always.
And ironically enough, that Chili's, 2 years later, that Chili's, it's 2 doors down from the place that I bought the engagement ring.
Oh, wow. I thought you were going to say you proposed in Chili's. And I'm like, Taylor.
I proposed in Chili's over mimosas. I'm just kidding. It was margaritas, which we should be drinking right now, but you don't have time. So,
hey, let's get kicked out of a game together soon.
Let's
Maybe
do it.
Sam can keep us from getting kicked out. Sam and
No.
Seth can keep us from getting kicked out.
No, if we're going to do this, we're going for it. All right, we'll be right back. Don't go anywhere. Congratulations, you made it through the first segment. Give yourself a pat on the back. And then if you're enjoying this, you'll probably enjoy the other stuff that we have here on our YouTube channel that is not just the show. For instance, we did the 1 chip challenge with Tony Bacinda and Nick Hardesty just last week, and it was so much fun. Father Anthony gave the most ridiculous priestly blessing you'll ever hear. They ate this hot chip, and I asked them ridiculous questions. It was so much fun. That video is one of the top videos we've done here on YouTube. So go check that out and hit the subscribe button so that you can see all the cool stuff that we are doing. That's not just the show, even though the show's kind of fun too. All right, enjoy the rest of it. Welcome back to Forte Catholic. What did you just say to me, Allison Sullivan?
I wish you could give me a YouTube tan.
A YouTube tan.
Yeah, you got a filter for that.
So here's...
I could use a little color.
So I went at my gym. You can get water massages. Have I told you about this before?
No,
It's
definitely not.
a bed that you lay on, and they essentially they pressure wash you, like as a massage. So like there's like something that
sounds
stops
terrible.
the water.
It sounds like it
It's
hurts.
tremendous.
Does it sting?
No, it feels great. But I was like, hey, like the people there, like typically on a typical day when I go to the gym, I go and I do the water massage, and then I do my hour and a half workout, right? And most of the people there have they've worked there the whole time that I've been going there, and they're very used to me doing this routine. Because for I've missed a couple of weeks, but for the most part, I'm going like 5 or 6 times a week. So you get used to seeing the same large bald dude asking to go lay on the water
Get
bed,
a
right?
water massage. I am skeptical.
Oh, that's so tremendous. I'm going to bring you as a guest to my gym, and you're going to go get a water
All
massage.
right.
You're going to have to be Taylor Schroll. You're going to have to be the female Taylor Schroll because guests can't do it.
Oh,
But you're
yeah.
gonna be Taylor, it works fine.
Yeah.
So
I could have a lot of fun with this.
TikTok fame. The new Taylor Schroll is now Allison. So I went and I was like, "Can I have bed too?" Because that's what I always ask for. It's a little darker. It's like back in the back, really relaxing. And she's like, "Yeah, sure. Have you ever tanned before?" I said, "You misunderstand me. I don't tan because I'm a man, and that's my campaign platform." So no, I have nothing to tan for me. I mean, look, I forgot to wear my hat today. My head is
Right. There's a lot of things. There's a lot of details that are a little off today, Taylor.
It's okay. The AC just kicked on. It hit my arm, and I feel great now.
Now it's better.
So now that we talked about tanning, which is exactly what we planned on talking about.
In the notes.
Let's shift to something a little more serious. So I realized something. I listened to your podcast called Sinner Saint Sister.
Yes.
And I thought I had listened to all of them. I actually told you a few months ago that I had listened to all of them. And you were like, "That's awesome. You're great." And I realized like 2 weeks ago that there was some glitch in my phone. And like my podcast app, where I had listened, like I had stayed up to date with like through season like 2 or 3 or something, and then with the new ones I listened like as they came out, and then like if I missed one I would work backwards.
Reverse order.
So I was going from like
so
2016 and 2020, and I thought I had met in the middle. And done them all, and I didn't. There were like 5 or 6 that I hadn't listened to, so
I finally listened to one. It was about adoption. And I think we mentioned before in passing that you adopted a son, because I think you were gone for a while and didn't come on the show. We're like, where is she? And we're like, China, I guess.
China.
But I never... It's not my conversation to have, because it's your conversation. Like, you and I talked privately about it. And I was like, I don't know.
Yeah, we've talked about it privately plenty.
I was like, I don't know if we should talk about this on the show, because I had never heard you talk about it publicly. And like, I was like, I've listened to her whole podcast and she didn't say anything. So
let's not bust it out on your podcast.
And apparently that was all a farce and I'm an idiot.
Yeah.
Because you did talk about it.
You're not an idiot, because I don't talk about it very often. And people have even said, you don't talk about it that much. And there's a reason for that. And there is caution in a lot of things. First of all, the possibility of seeming in any way exploitive feels like the ickiest thing on the bottom of my shoe ever. So I would never want to reduce Emmanuel, his mother, our family, to anything that could ever even appear to be used for a click or a like or anything. That feels like the grossest thing I could do as a mother. So when I talk about it, it is for a reason, and it is thoughtful and prayerful. And so that episode is one of my very favorite episodes. I had one of my dearest friends who adoption is a part of her story as well. And so I love that episode. I love that you listened to it. I love our family. I love Emmanuel. I love adoption. I love Down syndrome. And so anytime I have posted about Emmanuel or adoption or Down syndrome, if I post the hard parts, I will inevitably get messages that are like, but it's so joyful and so happy, and this is such a celebration. And I'm like, yes. And then if I post anything happy, people will be quick to remind me that adoption is born from trauma and grief, and it is no one's ideal. And I'm like, yes, both are true, and both. So there's always a lot of opinions anytime you talk about something as vulnerable as those things. And so, there's a lot of reasons that I'm not all over the place about it.
And I think that's the reason that I never brought it up. Because I knew that there's good and bads. And I think the perspective that I had, that I wasn't, but it's your story. Like, the perspective that I had was like, why are people being so weird about this?
Yeah.
Because any other, I am the father of my 3 children. That's my situation. At least I hope I am. but
announcement.
But no one. I can talk about the ups and downs of parenting my 3 children on the show publicly.
Sure.
With my friends, I can talk about it with anybody.
Yeah.
And they're like, "Oh, that's normal. That's a thing that every parent deals with, because every kid and every parent has their ups and downs and their flaws and their great moments." But then, for some reason, adoption, you get why didn't you say this? Why didn't you say that? It's like, just shut up and read what I read. That's me saying it, not you.
Yeah.
But it's like, I don't know, I'm just defensive of people.
Yeah,
and
thank you.
I just thought it was always so strange where it's like, why is it so different? And I understand that it's a different thing, but I wanted to just kind of see your...
Yeah, it is different. A lot of it is that the details are his. And so he has a story to tell one day, and I would never want to precede him in that. And so you want to honor him and his private life. I also want to honor his mother. And so adoption is just inherently complicated. She did a very difficult thing, and I would never want to tell the story in a way that, a lot of people's natural response, and I understand that everyone means beautiful things when they say it, is, he's so lucky, he's so blessed, or y'all are so amazing. And none of those things feel like the whole truth. And so it's hard to post about it without getting those responses. And then because I know they're coming from such a beautiful place, I don't like correcting them publicly, because that doesn't feel kind either. And yet I don't want to accept the compliment. We did it because God told us to. We are not superhuman beings. I do not think everyone is called to it. I don't think that. And I tried to back out a million times, because of fear and idolatry and all the things, And so it's hard for me to take a compliment about it. It's hard for me to tell his story while telling the whole truth. And so it is complicated. It's not just, here's this story that's only mine, let me tell it. As it is with our kids, and again, you're still walking a fine line even with your kids and not telling too much of what they may not want to be public.
Well, you don't.
So I don't know. It's complicated.
My kid's purgatory is going to be listening to this podcast from when they were young children.
That's creative.
So I think for me, as the outsider in this, as I'm thinking about it, and as I was listening to your podcast and just kind of knowing the ups and downs that y'all have had, it's like the whole idea of like, oh, it's different. It is different, but it's almost like I would expect the reaction that people would give to like you and Manny. I would expect the cultural norm to be more about your own kids, because it's like there's a difference. It's like you chose all of them, but like I chose to be open to life, and therefore my kids happened. Mm-hmm. Like you specifically chose Manny, where you're like, I'm going to adopt, and I'm choosing to bring this specific person into our home, and
right.
It's like that almost seems more like it seems like a bigger choice.
Yeah.
And like, yes, you love your kids that you made, and like I love my kids that my wife made, but like I didn't choose them. Like God chose them for me. Yeah. And I think there's some truth to that with adoption too. Like you said, like God called you all to this, and obviously God's hand was in it. But it's like you chose to bring another kid into your life in a very specific way. And that's always been, it's like we chose this. So I can see it from the positive and negative side, where it's like from other people from the outside being like, oh, well, you chose this kid, so it has to be all positive all the time. Mm-hmm. And it's like, no, that's not how it works. So like you opened up on the podcast about some of the ups and downs of this. So like tell the story a little bit about like right at the beginning, y'all's decision to adopt, and then
Sure.
where you were at.
Sure. So we decided to adopt because we were told in very explicit terms that we would not have kids naturally. That was not going to happen. And so we set out to adopt, and we wanted to do what was fastest. We wanted to be really efficient. There felt like an urgency in starting our family. And so we started on paperwork, and then a month into the paperwork, we got pregnant 4 times over, like in rapid succession. And I don't say that irreverently, because I know the heartbreak of, I know a bit of the heartbreak of infertility. So as we were having children, people would ask us, do you think you'll go back to adoption? And the obvious answer felt like yes. Like that seems like a really good way to say thank you. However, there was, with a family full of healthy, happy.
They're very healthy. They do all their chores. They help.
That could not be more of like a misnomer. But with healthy, happy, beautiful children, that didn't feel exciting anymore. It felt terrifying, because we could be potentially throwing a wrench into this whole family thing as we know it. But it did, like I said, feel like a really good way to say thank you. And so we were just really prayerful. Are we still called to this? And we remembered how clear the call was initially. And so we started, praying about this in a new way. And the call became so clear. And the details are fun. They're too long for here, but the details were really fun about how this was very specifically for us, that it became scarier to disobey than it was scarier to potentially throw a wrench in our family. And so, this is a 5-year story.
If we follow the story logically and how it compares to the one in Scripture, if you didn't obey, you specifically would have been turned to salt.
Yes, exactly. So anyways, we end up deciding on Emmanuel, which again is, I just would invite people to go check out the episode. It's a long story, and I can get into more details in another space. But and then bringing him home was the most like roller coaster of a thing, because if you were to ask me, how do you think you're going to feel a day before you go pick up your son? How I was feeling, it was nothing similar. I was on the floor of my closet grieving. I was grieving for the woman who gave birth to Emmanuel. I was grieving for the woman who stood in the gap and raised him for almost 3 years. I was grieving for our family and the comfort and predictability as we knew it. I was grieving. And none of those felt like the right, air quote, right response. And so, but it was true. And then bringing him home was another roller coaster of excitement. Our kids and their just pure, unadulterated joy. And by the way, which has maintained, I don't know how people like maintain such levels of excitement, but our kids do regarding him. It's as though he came home yesterday. So anyways, and I think a lot of time is spent on talking about the child's attachment to the family, but not a lot of time is spent on the family's attachment to the child. And so I've been really honest about those things because I think it's important, when talking about adoption, to take off the Amaro filter, this Instagram, like beautiful haze of adoption, because the truth is it is a long and complicated story that includes, crying on your bathroom floor. And then there's, these incredibly beautiful moments as well, where we're all praying over him as a family. And, we remember his mother in our family prayers too. So there's just, it's thick, it's dynamic, it's constantly changing. There is no one thing that's true all the time, which is true in our regular parenting too, but it's just thickened our story. It's enhanced our lives. It's taught us so, let's put it this way. Emmanuel has taught us so many more things than we could ever, ever, ever begin to think that we are teaching him.
And you brought it up at the beginning. And I think part of this is like, did you know when you signed the adoption papers or whatever that you were going to get a child with Down syndrome? Down syndrome,
yes. We did know that. However, we never entered into adoption thinking that we would adopt a kid with special needs. So that was never part of our plan. How we decided that this was probably right for our family is an even longer story, Taylor. I think this deserves a part 2.
Well, good. You come back once a month, so we'll figure it out.
But, I think that I've never been more aware of what it means to be like a child than I am when I am watching my children with Emmanuel. We were so concerned that this was going to be difficult for them, that this was going to be embarrassing for them, that this was going to be stressful for them, that they were going to resent us for all the extra effort that was going towards him, whether it was doctor's appointments or just because he's so stinking cute, whether it was, attention from strangers out in public, what have you. And watching what they have to give him and how freely they give it away is one of the most inspiring life teaching lessons of my life, like life enhancing lessons of my entire existence, is watching those children. And so the call to be like a child is really, really like in the forefront of my mind every day, watching them together.
Yeah, your kids are great. I watched the video last night of Manny with a boxing glove on, beating up your oldest son.
For sure. No, and I had nothing to do with that video. I walk in and that's what they're doing in my kitchen floor. And I'm like, hold that. Hold that right hook. I need to go get my phone for this.
I like Manny. Manny is the biggest fan of my beard.
Oh, for sure. Yes.
Every time I come over, he just wants to hold it.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
I love him for the most part.
Exactly.
So
yeah.
We have a good time. I think the last question was like, you've learned, you said you learned a lot about yourself. You've learned a lot about like being like a child. As I was listening to the episode, I was like, the main question I had was like, is there any insight that you have had? Because like I had insight of being like of God the Father when I became a father, but I haven't had the experience of adopting.
Yeah.
So have you learned anything about like God's adoption of us into his family from adopting Manny?
Yeah. So I think for me, like the entire, because this was something that we were scared to do. This was something I had this realization while running. God always has my full attention while I'm running. Yeah. Well, hold on. Is that like, I cannot
jogging and be like, oh, what a baby.
Sort of. Actually, sort of. So I was like, I'm praying the whole time I run because I'm trying not to die, right? And so I'm concentrating on breathing, like taking the next breath. And I had this realization that I was kind of hoarding things that I thought were mine. And I had this really scary realization that I think my family's mine. Here it is, my greatest gift. Here it is, my greatest blessing. We laugh in our house more than we do anything else. And that was this thing that I was keeping tucked away and private and not letting God do what he was going to do with. And so I felt the Lord, and like, I always like cringe a little bit when people say they feel the Lord told them something. And I'm like, what does that sound like? But it was more of a realization than anything else that I was keeping my favorite parts of my story to myself. And the Lord cannot bless what you refuse to turn over. And so it's like I was saying, okay, God, you can have this, and you can have this, but you can't have this. This is mine. And so the second that I had that realization, I asked myself the question of, do you believe that he is who he says he is, or don't you? Do you believe he's good, or don't you? Do you believe he's faithful, or don't you? You have to turn this thing over too. And it is the thing that he has just blown up the most when it comes to joy and love. And like I said earlier, the word thick, our family feels so much more layered now in a really beautiful way. It's not easy, easy doesn't mean good and hard doesn't mean bad, but it is beautiful for all of the layers. And so I think that, to answer your question of, is there any like one lesson? It is that he cannot bless what we don't turn over. And if we can just keep that question in the forefront of our mind, is he good or isn't he? Then it is a confidence giver to say, this is all yours. Everything is all yours.
Very good. I'm proud of you.
Thank you, Taylor.
You're so welcome. We'll be right back.
No Shave November is upon us, and you know what that means. It's time to re-up your beard game by using all the great products from Catholic Balm Co. If you use the code FORTE, F-O-R-T-E, at checkout, you'll get 11% off your next order. Everybody else gives you 10% off. I give you the other 1% because I'm a 1%er. I don't think that's the correct use of that term, but it's what I said. So get your beard balm, lotions, chapstick, the stuff for when your lips hurt, lotions, all kind of stuff over at, what is it? ForteCatholic.com/beard. Use the code FORTE at checkout. Get your 11% off. And it helps me out too. So go check it out and get something for the holiday.
Welcome back to Forte Catholic. I'm Taylor Schroll. That is Allison Sullivan. You are listening to the Forte Catholic podcast / radio show / YouTube video.
It's a lot of things.
If you have ever seen anything that we've done on YouTube or at Taylor Schroll on social media, any of that stuff, then this joke will make sense to you. If you don't know what I look like, this joke won't make sense. But Allison will get it, and she will laugh.
If you know, you know.
I've commanded her to.
That makes me feel rebellious all of a sudden.
So, I saw this thing the other day, and I want you to tell me when we're done what point you think they were trying to make. Because I only got one thing out of it, and I just read this. It was in a very serious person, very serious post.
Okay.
They said, if the whole world was blind, how many people would you impress?
Hmm.
And I just thought, a lot more than
a lot. That would work for you?
Yeah. I'd be like, sweet.
Yeah.
If it's just voice and audio stuff.
Interesting thought. Okay.
So, if you want to live in this world, don't follow at Taylor Schroll social media or Forte Catholic on YouTube. What do you think he's trying to say? If the whole world was blind, how many people would you impress?
That we put too much time, energy, dollars into our external appearance. What do you think? That if we worked as hard on our interior as we did our exterior, then we would have things rightly ordered.
See, I thought it was saying the opposite of what I think is true. Like, I get what you're saying, and I like your thing, but like, even after I got past the joke part, I was like, so if we just said we're gonna do good things, and you can't see that I didn't do the good things, then I'm a good person? I don't know. I thought it was a joke, and then I thought it was mischievous, and then I thought it was bad. So I don't know. Yeah.
Do you remember you came into my house one time, and there was, it was like a wall art thing, and it said,
No, I don't remember this, but I can't wait to hear.
It said, "This is as good as it gets," and you read it like, "This is as good as it gets." And what it really meant was, "This is as good as it gets."
But what's funny is after hearing the last segment, people are like, "There's craziness in Allison's home. Everything, it's fun. It's a place of laughter, but it's wild."
Oh my gosh!
Like I think every time I walk into your house, you're like, "I'm sorry, it's so messy." And
Oh,
so
I
read it
do.
as,
I'm
"This is
constantly-
as good as it gets. Take it or leave it." I'm
Yeah.
Allison Sullivan.
I love how you justify your inclinations.
I have ruined so many things for so many people.
Yeah.
I've ruined that thing for you. Does it still hang up there?
No. No, it is. It was like, now I can't unsee it any other way. I can't unread it in Taylor Schroll's sarcastic, demeaning voice.
There was one at my mom's house. I wish I could remember what it was. But there was one at my mom's. You know how like some like fancy stuff, like obviously I don't know, but it's in my mom's house and your house. But it has like the big letter for the first word.
Sure.
I think it was an S.
Uh-huh.
But then like in the second line, it started with hit. And I'm like, you can't
You can't do that.
You can't do that. It's not what they meant, but it's what I see.
Sure.
So,
Sure. I think you're right on that one.
I'm always right. That's the kicker.
Taylor, I'm here to humble you.
Well,
and
as I'd like to say, if you want it to be any better, this is as good as it gets. All right, so I want to talk about my car a little bit. I talked about my car when I got a new car because my car like 2 months ago.
I love your car. Every time I pull up, it makes me so happy to see that shiny car in your driveway. I don't know. I mean, we don't deserve anything really because His grace is sufficient for us, Taylor. But I just feel like you deserve that car.
Oh,
I know. I do. It makes me really happy.
This is as good as it gets.
We should go now.
So,
that was a snort.
It was a snort.
I'm the snorter. Oh, this is as good as it gets. Okay, I'm sorry. The shiny car.
If you didn't listen a few months ago, we did, and we led the show with how I drove this other car that I had into the ground.
I mean,
another one. The world pandemic happened. I lost all my money. Just a bad timing. I was like, I'm gonna get a new car in March. And
it went to
God
Subaru
was like,
heaven.
Never mind.
And it was not too soon. Yeah.
So it didn't even make it to Mazda heaven. That's interesting because it was a Mazda. It's in Subaru heaven. I like that thought though, where it's just like, I don't think I belong here.
This is like how you call me Allison Renee, like semantics, whatever.
Exactly. So my car died on the side of the road, and like it was like dead.
So
like,
dead.
It was done. I got more money from the
DNR
from the
dead.
like tow.
Yes.
Where they go and destroy the car.
Yes.
So, like, it was worth more as parts than it was as a working car. Like
for sure.
And then so like I got this new car, and I'd been driving that other car for 4 years and never really liked a second of it. So that car, like, I mean, it was the like students like who I coached, the track kids, football kids, like they have ridden in my car, like because we don't have a track at our school, we just have a road. So sometimes we like to go to an actual track, and like I would drive the few that needed a ride over there. And it was like a part of the lore of running track was that like you're not sure if you're gonna make it to the
yes,
track, you know?
Yes, you might have to run.
That's how they gained courage and
stamina, endurance. Yeah.
So I did like the car was already it was like it should have been replaced 4 or 5 years ago. And I just couldn't afford it. Couldn't bring myself to do it. There were other things that needed to happen, like feeding my kids. So finally died, and I got the new car. That old car, it was known to have trash in. Like anytime people came over, like I would have to like rearrange the car, like throw stuff into like the back.
Yeah.
And like it was just like this vast void of just nothingness and trash. And
ready for apocalypse. You could survive for months in there.
Yeah, because I had like,
nuggets,
fast food from 2 months ago.
Yes.
Like it was just a trashy
clothes for all members of the family. You could light a fire in there. You're good.
Like I kept all the track equipment in there. I kept like 4 jackets, 5 hats.
Yeah.
Like I was ready to go. I lived out of the car, and it was just it was not a good car, and I treated it poorly.
Yes.
And it was just trash. This new car, I've been through the car.
Are we allowed in?
I've been to the car wash twice. The kids aren't allowed to eat.
Yeah.
I barely eat in there.
Right.
Like, I'll eat fast food and like wait till I get home to eat. Which is the thing I have
that's
never done.
right.
And,
wow.
Like
that is discipline.
Car wash twice. like if something spills on it, like I'm cleaning immediately, like even like a little droplet, I'm cleaning it right when I get home. Make it pristine.
Yeah.
It smells great. It runs great.
Oh my gosh. Yes.
If I like leave like cups, I probably had 18 cups. And
no telling.
8 plates in the other car.
Sure.
Like they come out immediately of the new car.
Yeah.
So I was like, okay, like there's obviously a difference in this.
It feels so peaceful. I want to go.
You want to go in the car?
Yeah, we should record in there.
We can. We'll go do a promo for the show that they're already listening to that isn't out yet. This is a weird time space continuum thing. On the way out, we'll go in the car and check it out.
Uh-huh.
But here's the thing: 2 points. One, I'm treating it way better.
Yeah,
I have some pride in it. Like I feel good about it. It looks good. It feels good. And I like the car and I'm taking care of it.
Yeah.
I didn't like driving the other one.
Sure.
So I treated it like crap.
Yeah.
So I was thinking about it and I was like, okay, there's like, again, just like looking at myself and not really trying to find anything spiritual about it, but just like,
what's going on? Let's analyze this response.
Why do I automatically care about this car? I've never really cared for a car this well.
Yeah.
And I was like, well, it's because it's the nicest car I've ever had. It's really nice.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like mine and I'm proud of it and I feel good driving it and I feel good. Like I was like embarrassed driving the other car. Like it would make noises and everybody stare at me and was like, hey, you know, like,
I just died at the stoplight. Right. It's fine. It's fine, people.
And this one I'm like, I'm awesome. Even though it's a Prius. I know, like I feel like I'm awesome. Everybody's like, oh, it's a Prius. I'm like, yeah, I pay $12 a month in gas. Take that big old truck, boy.
Yeah.
So I was looking at it and I was like, okay, like I'm taking care of it because I feel this way about the car and I feel good in it.
Yeah.
And like it already is clean and pristine, so it's easier to keep it that way.
Right.
The other car, like it would take me like an hour and a half to like get it clean, and even then it wouldn't be like nice.
Sure.
It would be clean.
Sure.
So I was like, okay, I realize why this is. 'Cause it's like this is kind of how I've joked before that like how I see myself every 17 seconds it flips. Like I'm God's gift to earth, and I'm a trash person.
Yeah,
you know?
Right.
And I was listening to a podcast right before we recorded about Conan O'Brien. He was talking to what's the guy's name? The boss. What's his name?
Michael Scott?
No.
Steve Carell?
The boss musician guy.
Bruce Springsteen.
Bruce Springsteen. Conan O'Brien was talking to Bruce Springsteen, and Bruce was essentially saying that he feels the same way. And he's like, he had some adults in his life when he was a kid that were saying, you are the greatest gift to mankind.
Mm-hmm.
And other people who never showed him love, never showed him affection, never did all this stuff.
Sure.
And I was like, oh, like maybe there's something for that in me. And I started feeling about it with the 2 cars. Like how I treat myself internally.
Yeah.
Every 17 seconds is the nice new car.
Interesting.
And the old other car. Mm-hmm. Where it's like, I make a mistake. If I make a mistake and I feel like I'm the other car, like, I'll make another mistake and another mistake. Because what does it matter? It's already, I'm already a piece of trash.
Yeah.
Why should I care about this? Why should I do anything good? Why should I go to confession? Why should I pray? I'm already a trash person. But then like, you go to confession, you have some experience at mass, you have some experience in prayer where you're like, oh, like I feel like this car.
Yeah.
You want to clean it. You want to take care of it. You want to like stay pristine, stay holy, stay something that you're proud of. And I have a new car and I'm only driving that one, but inside I still feel like both of them.
Yeah. Wow. So I think that whether it's information that we're getting from the outside and receiving, or whether it's the information we're giving our own selves, that I think that you can lop off the extremes in either direction, and the truth is probably somewhere in the middle, you know? And so I'm
a dirty Prius.
But I was thinking so I feel this way I was picturing your car. I've been in that car. And I was picturing your car, the old one, yet to be in the new one. But, and I was picturing the feeling of, but I was picturing that feeling of being overwhelmed. I'm overwhelmed by all that it would take to get this to a new shiny red Prius. That feels impossible. And so I think that there's a reordering of awareness, because when we think this is something that I'm going to have to do all by myself, it is impossible. You're right about that. And so really you take that same feeling of being in the red Prius and you think this is how it was supposed to be, this is what feels right and good. Little inside joke from our texts, but this is what feels right and good. And so then saying, okay, to maintain here, to be here, it is an awareness of inviting God into this Mazda, letting him love us just as we are in our Mazda state that allows us to feel like the Prius. Like God is always...
I love that what you said made perfect sense, but out of context, God loves us in our Mazda state.
In our Mazda state. But it's when we invite him into the Mazda and experience his love right where we are that we go, oh, this is about being a Prius. But if you think that it's about being a Prius and working to be the Prius, you've got it all wrong. You're going to constantly feel overwhelmed by that. And so God is always trying to redirect us to these Mazda state places in our heart so that he can love us right there so that we can realize this is about being a Prius and it's not my job to get there. This is God's holy work, and I just get to be loved right where I am. And so then we can like rest under God's tender gaze and be a Prius, shiny.
So that's the lesson from today's show. Don't be a Mazda or a Subaru. Be an internal, loved by God
Prius, shiny and red. Gosh, I love that, Taylor. I did not know
it's
that.
It's over, Allison. We gotta
no,
be done. Be done.
I'm having a moment. Thank you for this moment.
We talked too much about football earlier. All right, well, that's our show for today. Allison's frustrated at the end. I was frustrated at the beginning. This is Forte Catholic, and this is as good as it gets. I'll be back next week. Say it.
Thanks so much for listening to today's show. I hope that you guys enjoyed it. As always, subscribe to the podcast, leave a 5-star rating. That's always super helpful. If you're on YouTube, leave a comment of your favorite part. If you like the work that we have done here today, you want to continue to support Forte Catholic, not only does all that stuff, the liking, the rating, subscribing help, but also your financial support here as we move into the holiday season would mean a ton to me, our ministry, and my family. So head on over to fortecatholic.com/donate to share some generosity there. But thank you so much. God bless. Y'all have a good week. Peace.